Hello there, Tonya. Hey, there you are. Okay. So,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Okay. So very quickly, I'll explain because we don't really have that much time. It's just 15 minutes. But what we're going to be doing during these sessions is, well, these are just like an extra additional things to the group classes that we have. And we're going to be covering the 4 tasks that we have in the speaking section. Since we have 8 sessions, we're going to be taking 2 per question. That means that today and next session are going to be for the first one, then the third and the fourth session for the second task, and so on. I want to say that we are going to be looking at this like in an in-depth, detailed way in our group classes. So don't worry, you're going to have your theory and practice sessions for each task. But this is just like something extra to maybe help you practice or master those little things that you may be having here. Now, today, very quickly, we're going to be looking at the independent question, which is the first task for the speaking section. Now, in this question here, what they do is basically, it's called the independent one because you don't really have to give it that much. You don't have to do anything. So they basically just give you the question, something like this, something about what you prefer or what you think, what your opinion is about something. Like, do you prefer this or that? Do you agree or disagree with this idea? Or do you think that this is a good idea or not? Or what is your opinion about this? Do you prefer this or that? So it's just that basically they give you a bunch of options. You gotta choose the one that you think is the easiest one to explain. And you gotta prepare your response in 15 seconds, which to be honest is not that much, it's probably nothing. You just have to maybe take some notes or think about what you're gonna say. And then 45 seconds you get to speak and to deliver your response. So we'll read the question, 15 seconds to prepare and 45 to speak. Is that okay? 15 to prepare, 45 to speak. Yeah?
Okay, I have to take notes, right?
During those 15 seconds, you can take notes. Right now, it's not necessary. We're gonna see this. Right now, it's not necessary, but when I mean you can take notes when you're preparing your response for the task after you read the question. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's explain it with an example. I think that's the best way.
Yes, please.
We have a question here. It goes, some people think they can achieve more when they work with other people, but others think they're more productive when they work alone. What is your opinion and explain why? So this is like, it's always going to be like this. They give you a bunch of options. Like, do you prefer to work with other people or alone? Which one do you think is most productive? That's what they're asking. So it's always like this. And what you need to do in your response is better. That's in short 5 seconds, that's it. Then you provide an argument or a reason. So you know, since or due to the fact that trying to since, and you give me the reason. You could do anything you can think. So since you have other people there to help you out, it doesn't have to be that long. And you can just use one thing, elaborate. And you make a transition to illustrate or instance a good example or exemplifying, and you provide an example. So your example could be anything, but it's gotta be a bit more specific. So it goes from bigger to small. I prefer this since you have people to help you out. For instance, and you could say something like, there was this time when I was at work and the computer wasn't working, if it was frozen, and lucky me, I got a technician on my side that helped me out, and I was able to fix the problem only because I was working with other people. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's it. You know, introduction, a reason and the example. It's just 45 seconds, don't have that much to explain or say anything else. We're gonna see, that's what we're here for. We're gonna see how you do it, how you manage your time. And based on that, we're gonna see maybe you could have an argument more or what to work on, you know? That's pretty much it. Here's a template if you wanna maybe use these words. I definitely believe that is better means people are there to help you to illustrate. You can do this or that, or this could happen. Right? Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and let's see how it goes. It's just gonna try the first job. No worries. It's not perfect, but we'll see how you are doing. So the question is, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Online learning is more effective than traditional classroom learning. Visual details during your response. So is online learning, yeah?
I cannot hear you
Yes.
well. I cannot hear you. I think the connection, please, can I?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I don't know why.
Of course.
Teacher,
now? Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, teacher, now I can hear you clearly.
Okay, then. So the question is this one. Is online learning more than traditional classroom learning? You just need to decide whether it is or not. Do you prefer the online one or the traditional one? And explain why. So now you have 15 seconds to prepare your response. Okay. So now you're gonna answer. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. For me, it's better to study in the traditional way, because in the traditional way you can speak more easily with your classmates, and it's better not to get distracted easily. And for me, it was kind of difficult at first because I had some internet connection, some problems with the internet connection. And those problems, it wouldn't happen in the traditional way. And I think and that's why I think it's better.
All right, great. So you're just hitting off at the beginning, at the first one. Great, well done, nice. Perfect. I like that at the end you were trying to give that conclusion. Good idea. If you have like 4 or 5 seconds or even more, you can just add a conclusion. Make sure that you look at the clock when you're in your example so that you don't start anything new if you don't have time to do so. So perfect way of ending. That's why I think so. Great. All right, nothing to say really. You make sure you had your argument, your example. What I could tell you is just to give it a structure, add some transitions. I noticed that you gave me like two arguments, kind of. So you said, well, for me, I don't know what the first one was, but then you said, and, you know, you don't get distracted. So instead of saying, and, if you're going to give two, you could add a transition there. You could say, what's more, you don't get distracted by what's around you, whatever. Or furthermore, you don't get distracted. So add some transitions. And when you're going to give your example, instead of saying just, in my case, this happened to me, add a transition before again. Make a pause and you say, to illustrate, this is what happened to me, you know, and you tell me what your story is. But just that, really, I didn't notice, you know, any grammar mistakes either. So perfect, well done. Now you don't say really. Also, this word, because, make sure that you could avoid it. You could, instead of and, because, but, you could use different words. But, you know, overall, I think that was an amazing response.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay. So implementing those changes, adding some transitions, giving it a structure. Let's try this one now. Let's see how it goes. This one is, do you prefer to study at home or in a library? Provide specific details to support your explanation. Okay. So now you go. Go ahead.
For me, to study in a library is better because, for example, in a library, you don't have a lot of noise, and you have more information easily, and it's all quieter than study in other places. To illustrate, in my case, if for me, I like to read books in a library because no, for them, I know. Also, no. Oh, I'm sorry, teacher.
No, that's fine. Perfect. So yeah, I know at the end you got confused, but that's okay. You gave your example. It was a short one. Maybe I will try to elaborate a bit more. Yes. So let's work on that. You said for me, in my case, I read books in libraries. You know, look at the clock. If you see that you have 3 seconds, don't leave it there. You know that it's fine. Never say that you're getting stuck. You could, I don't know. If you're at the end, then there's no need to do anything else, really. If it's in the middle, then yes, you could say something like moving on, and then you change to something else. But at the end, it's okay, no worries. Add your transitions. You want to reduce the number of arguments that you're giving. So I think in this case, I have like 3. It could be shorter, you know, try to make it half and half. So half for your argument and maybe the other half for your example. Make it a little bit more balanced. Instead of giving 3, maybe you can say 2 sentences. So you said, for instance, I believe this, since in a library you don't have noise and you have more information and it's quieter. So it's quieter could be a bit repetitive, but just the two of them. And don't forget that at the beginning, you need to add, it's not a for example at the beginning because the example gets at the end. So it's more like since or due to the fact that or given that. So careful with those transitions. They have to be in the right place.
So
yeah.
I need to practice more about transitions. I am not really sure how to use them.
Yeah, Yeah, but it's just practice. This is your second try, so it's perfectly fine. We're gonna continue doing the same task next week session. And actually, this week is not gonna be all this task, so it's okay, no worries. But yes, always practicing transition is a good idea. So Paula, I'll see you then next session or next class.
Okay, thank you, teacher. Have a nice night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello there, Mel.
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So very quickly, what we're going to be doing during these sessions is just go over the 4 tasks that we have in the speaking section. And don't worry, because this is just like an additional extra thing, besides from the usual group classes that we have. So we are going to see this like in an in-depth, detailed way in our group classes. You're going to have your practice sessions as well. So this is just like so that we can so that you can practice individually, maybe some personalized feedback, but that's just it. We're still gonna see this. Okay, since we have 8 sessions, we're gonna be taking 2 per task. So today and next week are gonna be about question 1, the first one, okay?
Okay,
We don't
Miss,
have that
can you
much
give
time,
me
so
a second to repair my audio? I have some issues.
okay.
Just a second.
No. Yeah, I'm
Oh
ready.
yeah, now it's better. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna do this quickly because we don't have that much time, as I was saying. So
Okay.
in this question, for the first one, what they do is basically they just give you a question, give you a prompt, and the question is always about choosing something. It's like, do you prefer to read or to listen to music? Or do you prefer to do this or to do that? Or do you think that this is a good idea or not? Or do you agree or disagree with this statement? So you always get like a bunch of options, usually 2, and everything you need to do is select one, the one that you think is easiest to explain, and explain it, elaborate on it.
Mhm.
Regarding time, you're given 15 seconds to prepare your response, which is, to be honest, like nothing. I would say is just maybe to think about it for a while. You could take some notes during those 15 seconds, but it's not really going to be that much.
Yeah, it's
And
more
then you
time
get
to
45
process the question.
Yeah, it's more like, yeah, yeah, exactly. So you can maybe read it once more, but you could also think of at least the reason that you're gonna give, so that you know what you're doing later. And 45 seconds then to speak or to deliver your response. Is that okay? 15 to prepare and 45 to speak. Yep.
What did you say,
Okay.
Miss?
Okay, then. So let's try to explain this with an example. So for instance, we have this question here. Some people think they can achieve more when they work with other people, and others think they are more productive when they work alone. What is your opinion, and explain why? So as you can see, you have 2 options, working with people or working alone. You have to choose one and tell me why you think so. So in your response, what you need to say, or what you need to make sure you have, is first of all, a little intro, not the long, like 5 seconds long, in which you are going to answer the question directly. So, and another thing, make sure that you choose just one and go for that one. It's always better if your answer is, the more direct, the better. So don't try to compare and contrast your options or say, well, I think this is good, but this may also be good as well. So always try to choose one and support that option. Now, what you need to make sure you have is, as I was saying, the intro, which is answering the question. You could say something like, I definitely believe that working alone or working with other people is better. That's your intro. And then you could write off and move on to your reason or to your argument. So you say, since, or due to the fact that, or as or for, try not to say because. So since, and you give me a reason. So that's what, that's something that you can think of during those 15 seconds per se. So you could say, for instance, since you got other people around to help you out whenever you have problems. And maybe that's my reason. And that's it. You mark a pause, you add a transition, something like to illustrate, or for instance, for example, exemplifying, or a good example would be, and then you try to give me an example. Now, this is like complicated part, but I'm sure you can handle it. It's just getting a bit more specific. So if you said you have people to help you out with your problems, then tell me something more specific. You could give me you could tell me a story from your own experience, like maybe, so there was this time when I was at the office and my computer wasn't working, it was frozen, but lucky me, I had this technician on my side that helped me get through it, and we were able to fix the problem only because we were working as a team, so that's why I think so you could do that, or you can just get more specific. You could make up something. You could say, for instance, if you're at work and you're struggling with something, maybe a technical thing, or I don't know, and you have people from different areas and different professionals there to help you with what you need. So that is why I believe that working in a team is way better than working on your own. So basically that's it, It doesn't have to be that formal or that academic, that it could be casual, what I mean. So basically, I think that's pretty much it. Is that okay? Any questions?
No question, please.
Okay. So now you're going to try. We're going to do like 2 examples maybe today. In next session, we will continue. And also this week, we're going to be looking at it. So, okay, let's start with this. It goes, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Online learning is more effective than traditional classroom learning. Be sure to use details during your response. So is it online learning better than a traditional one? Let me know what you think. So now you have 15 seconds to prepare your response.
Mm, I don't have a strong opinion about this. But it's okay, I'll try. Can I answer now?
Yeah, sure. So go ahead.
I believe online learning has its advantages, such as being a more personal interaction between the student and the professor, rather than in a classroom where everyone is super aggruppated and can have like the personal interaction with the teacher and the student. In online classes, it's more easy for the student to ask questions to the teacher and wait for an answer through the chat, whereas in a classroom, everyone has to raise their hand or wait their turn for talk, and they don't have like an option to chat.
Okay, all right. Perfect. I think that's a really good start. It was a bit different,
Mhm.
but that's okay. I like it.
The problem
Okay,
is
what I
that
could
I
tell
don't
you,
really
I noticed
have.
that you were all the time.
The problem is that I don't really have a strong opinion about it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You don't really need to have a strong opinion, You don't have to be honest for this question. You just have to make something up. So yeah, I noticed that you didn't have a strong opinion, and you need to show, or you need to like fake it. So yeah, you told me a lot of arguments. You had an argument for online one. You said it's better since, or I think it was the traditional one, right? It's better because you can ask the questions directly and you don't have to do it through the chat and so on. So that could perfectly work. And you could have said, well, I believe that traditional classroom learning is better than online one, since you can have a better interaction with your teacher and ask questions directly and solve your doubts and what have you. And then you could make up an example, right? You could say to illustrate, and it doesn't have to be the truth. You could tell me something like, to illustrate, right now I am I don't know, I'm having this history class, which is on online due to the pandemic, and it works 100% better than the one that I had last year, which was a traditional one. And I'm learning so much more because I have a better interaction. Or yeah, I think I'm getting mixed up, and I think I actually give you a different example for a different argument. But the thing is that you can always make things up, you know? You don't necessarily have to have an opinion of your own. You can make everything that you want up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But
Sometimes,
try to
sometimes it's harder to fake an answer.
yeah, but you know, this is not really, that's why this is you know, they're evaluating your English, the way that you express it. So it can work. I'm not gonna say that that it won't work if you do that, you know, if you give your honest opinion and so, but it's gonna be harder, and they want that, you know, they want direct answers, and they also want to see the way that you would structure this type of question, which has, or I would ideally be in the traditional way, you know, your response, your reason, and then your example. That's the traditional way, and they usually want that. So I don't know. It's just that you practice, really. I don't know.
Okay, the next one.
Okay, let's try one more. Let's see how it goes. This one is: do you prefer to study at home or in a library? Provide specific details to support your explanation. So at home or in a library. As you can see, it's even a bit close, you know? So do you prefer this or that? Let's see.
Okay, can I answer now?
You have 15 seconds to prepare your response.
Well, I have already processed the question. I don't think there's much to think about it. I honestly prefer to study at home rather than in a library, because I myself, I am an introvert person and a shy one. So for me, being surrounded by many people can be very stressing, and I could personally focus a lot compared that if I was in my home, where I will be in my own room with my own personal space with no one around me, with also my stuff like my computer to hear music, and also be reading the content that I need to learn or memorize. So yeah, I would prefer to be studying at my own home than in a library.
Right, perfect. There you go. So this one was, in this case, you had a really strong position. Maybe, you know, that's the truth. But yeah, it was great. What can I say? Just, I don't know, like try to keep the structure, but it was okay. You know, it's okay if you don't. If you feel more comfortable doing that way, then it's fine as well. Try to add some transitions, maybe whenever you're like transitioning from one idea to another. So I personally prefer this since I am a shy person. Also, I can, I don't know, do my stuff on my own and listen to music while I'm doing these things. What's more, and then you tell me something else. So those transitions, maybe when you have more time, like what happened in this case, you could give a conclusion, which you kind of did at the end. So that's great, good idea. You could say something like, as a result or therefore, that's why I believe that studying at home, or that's why I preferred, or I would rather study at home than in a library. What else? Nothing else really. So yeah, good response. So try to always do it that way. And another thing, when you're practicing, you know, those 15 seconds are not really because, you know, I want to give them to you, but because the real test will be like that. So try to practice in a real scenario so that you get used to the idea of doing it in that way.
Okay. Will that be it for today?
Yeah, that's it for today.
Okay, bye, Miss. Take care.
Bye-bye, see you in class. Hey there, Oshin. Hi, there you are.
Hey, hi.
Okay. So, all right, very quickly, I'll explain how this works. So basically these sessions are just like something extra or additional to the usual group classes that we have from Tuesday to Friday. So what we're going to be doing here is just practice the 4 tasks that we have in the speaking section. It's all for the speaking. And, we're still going to see this in an in-depth, detailed way in the group classes that we have. But this is just so that we can maybe practice, your own thing. You can practice on your own. And maybe we can work on those individual things. We're going to be taking, since we have 8 sessions, we're going to be taking 2 sessions per question, starting today with the first one. Okay?
Okay.
And the first one is the independent one. Now, what they do in this question is, well, they pretty much give you a prompt or a question, and you got to read it. The question is usually about, well, it's always about your opinion, and they tend to give you like 2 or a bunch of options from which you have to choose one and explain why you chose that one. So it's always about choosing, like, do you prefer to do this or to do that? Or do you think that this is a good idea or not? Or do you agree or disagree with this statement? Or some people do that, but others do that. Which one do you think is better? So it's all about choosing between your options. Now, you receive 15 seconds to prepare your response, which is actually not that much, not that long. In those 15 seconds, what you can do is just think, maybe reread your question and try to think or plan what or the arguments or the reasons that you're going to be providing in the response. And then you got 45 seconds to speak and deliver your response. So is that okay? 15 seconds to prepare and 45 to speak? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's explain it with an example. That's the best way. So let's say this is the question. Some people think they can achieve more when they work with other people. Others think they're more productive when they work alone. What is your opinion, and explain why? So as you can see, they're giving you 2 options, working alone or working with other people. You need to explain, or you need to tell which one you prefer or you think is better, and explain why, Now, what you need to show you have is, first of all, an introduction, short, a quick one, like 5 seconds long, in which you tell me what your answer is. Something like, well, I believe, or I definitely believe that working with other people is better than working alone, you could say. And that's your intro, just your response. Now, you then use a connector like since, or due to the fact that, or for, or as. Try not to say because so much. So since, and then you tell me one reason. So you have to make up or think of something, one reason or one argument. So it could be anything you want, it could be maybe since when you work with other people, you got their, I don't know, you got others to help you out when you have problems. So you got people to help you out. That's your reason. And then you mark a pause and you use a transition, something like to illustrate, or for instance, for example, and then you provide an example. And that's important. Now the example doesn't need to really be anything new. you just need to get a bit more specific than you did in your argument. So if you say that you have people to help you out, then you need to illustrate that with anything you want. Like it could be a story from your own experience, something like, for instance, there was this time when I was at the office and I was struggling with my computer. It was frozen and I didn't know what to do. But lucky me, I had a technician on my side that was able to help me out and we handled it. And the only reason why I got to do that was because I was working with other people. So that's why I believe so. That's my example. It doesn't really need to be so complex. So we're gonna see, you know, what works for you. We're gonna see if you wanna give a personal one, you use different tenses, or it could be just something like if you're at your job location and you're working with someone else and you struggle with something, then the other people, maybe you have people around that's specialized in those things that can give you a hand and you can get through the problems. So I'm just basically saying the same thing, but getting a bit more specific. Like if you are here and if you're struggling with this and you have these people here, so just a bit more specific than you already did. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So intro, reason, and example. Is that okay? Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are some words you could use. Something like, I definitely believe that, your position seems to illustrate, but of course you can change this according to whatever suits you better. The thing is that try to use the transitions. Okay then.
Okay.
So let's start, or let's try this one. You're gonna give it a shot. So do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Online learning is more effective than traditional classroom learning. Be sure to use details during your response. So online learning or traditional classroom one? 15 seconds to prepare. Okay. So you're ready? Then go now.
Okay. To me, I will have to choose. I choose the presential classes because it's more. I think it's more effective because we can more practice and I don't know. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine. It's a good start. We're starting good. No worries. That's your first try. Okay. So you know what? I know it's hard. You know, it's hard to think about it for 15 seconds and then respond as you said. But the good thing, though, is that at least in this question, you tend to have these common topics that are always kind of related, you know, like work, life, education, or maybe technology, environment sometimes, or business decisions. So those are very common topics, and you could have, you know, something prepared beforehand. So make sure that you read a bit. Maybe you try to practice as much as you can, because the topics are kind of the same. You know, do you prefer, look at this one, you know, do you prefer reading books or searching the internet? So it's pretty much kind of the same. So try to make sure you practice as much as you can with this type of questions, and so that you have already something in mind. What else? All right, try to be a bit more direct. So I noticed that you're hesitating a bit. You're like repeating maybe the prompt. So you said, for instance, well, to me, I would always choose traditional classroom learning. Okay, where is it? Since, so go directly to your argument. Don't tell me since it's more effective or blah, blah, just tell me why. Since you can practice more, or since you have a better interaction with your teacher, or since you got real life material, or you can interact better with your classmates, whatever. So go directly to your argument, because then the example, I think, is the easiest part, you know? During those 15 seconds, you can think of the argument. All right, I'm gonna talk about interaction with a teacher. That's it. So then it's gonna be easier to make things up. It's just that you feel that space, you know? For your example, you could say anything you want. You could say, for instance, right now I'm in this history class, which is like the traditional one, and I'm learning so much more because I am able to ask questions and have a better interaction with my teacher. And I remember that, or this wouldn't be possible if I was like in having this online course. So making up the example is easier once you have that argument. So make sure that you think about it, like for those 15 seconds, you gotta be quick. And of course it's practice, you know? Yeah, don't forget that we wanna make it as varied as possible. So words like because, I think, those are very common words that maybe you wanna avoid. Instead of saying because, you can practice using other ones like due to the fact that, since, as, for. And instead of saying I think, there are also other ways of saying like I reckon, I believe, I consider, the way I see it, I don't know. So it's just practice. Practice makes perfect. All right, let's try this one out. Do you prefer to study at home or in a library? Provide specific details to support your explanation. At home or in a library? 15 seconds. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead.
I will have to choose one option. Definitively, I choose the first one. Study in the home because it's more comfortable. They have a possible to development to new abilities or skills. We have learned with own method. For example, I think sorry.
Okay, but it's fine. I think it was a lot better. You're there, you're getting there. So yeah, the example was missing, but it's fine because you were able to fill that time. You know, the example anyhow, it would have been, you know, not within those 45 seconds. So good. Now you have like 3 ideas in mind. Like I noticed that they were because one, it's more comfortable. 2, we can develop new skills and blah, blah, blah. And 3rd, I think, I don't know what the 3rd one was, but that's fine. What I would do if I were you is try to add some transitions to transition from the 1st one to the 2nd one and so on. So instead of saying, and it's more comfortable, and we can learn this, I would say, first, it's more comfortable, and furthermore, we can learn this. And maybe instead of giving 2, you can just focus on 1. You could say it's more comfort, and that's it. And then you move on to your example. For instance, right now that we're in the pandemic and I cannot go out to the library, I study at home and I have everything I need here, and I'm able to do it, in my PJs, and I don't have to even, get out from bed or something like that. So maybe we could add that example, but I think it was a good response. We're starting good. It's just practice. And another thing for the introduction, I would try to do something different. Like you're saying, I will choose, or I will have to choose the 2nd option or the 1st one. So I would say it's better if you give it like facts, something like, in my opinion, this is better, or in my opinion, I prefer this. So instead of saying I will have to choose option 1 or 2 or A or B, just try to do that. Okay?
Okay.
All right then. So then that's it for today's session, but we will continue looking at it next one and also this week. I think next week is going to be for this task. So we will have a look at it in a more depth way. Okay, so bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye. Thank you.